Hello, wandering souls of the internet, and welcome back to the Purgatory Podcast. So today is episode 3, which is actually crazy. I'm so happy that this is going so well.
Yeah, for sure.
We have a story today that I haven't actually heard of, but you, Flair, you know a lot about this one, don't you?
Oh yeah, it was a big influence with my childhood, and I heard a lot about it. I watched a lot of videos on it, and it was a very cool story that honestly it inspired a lot of the my character that I use, Flair, online. Actually, it inspired a lot from it because the character from this story, his attitude and everything about him is cocky, and he has that kind of wittiness to him. And a lot of the lore is actually based on fans, which is funny enough, which I really enjoy. I like when the fan base can kind of implement their ideas and such to a story that is, it gets popular, and then people give their own spin and takes on it, and everything's just kind of gets to be canon.
Yeah, it's really good. I love the involvement, and it brings it to life quite a lot for a lot of other people.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we should just jump right in. So today we are covering Jeff the Killer. That was a poll that was actually held on Discord, and that is the majority vote.
Yep.
So I will start with a little bit of background, as always. Jeff the Killer is a popular creepypasta, and he's a character that is depicted as a dark-haired, white-skinned man with a lack of eyelids and permanently curved smile. The first known use of the image originates from a Japanese YouTube video on August 2nd of 2007, in which the image appears at 4 minutes and 11 seconds in. Then, on August 14th, 2008, user Killer Jeff posted the image on the Newgrounds forums and claimed that the image was in fact a picture of himself.
So essentially, that's pretty creepy. Immediately, like he says that it's kind of a image of himself.
Yeah, it's really off-putting.
And to kind of jump on that, the image that we'll show right now for everyone right now, obviously it's edited. It's very, very creepy.
Yes.
But the origin of that actual image is said, it's not confirmed. Nothing is really confirmed, unfortunately. However, the image is said to be a picture of a young girl, like heavily edited, and I believe her name was Katie Robinson. And she was a user on 4chan who unfortunately committed suicide later around the spring of 2008 due to cyberbullying. So, but that image is actually not the only image that is surfacing around of that Jeff the Killer kind of vibe. We actually have another image that is an earlier image. I believe it originated on 4chan as well. We'll put that up for you guys as well. It's a lot more creepy in my opinion.
Definitely.
The beady eyes and such. But again, the image is definitely the strong point of the story. I'm just going to go ahead and say that now.
Yeah.
And I believe that's probably why the story got so famous when it did. And I would argue it still holds up. The image, at least, it's definitely creepy as hell whenever you look at it.
Yeah, it's so off-putting, and it's not only that it's a creepy photo on its own, it's that, the Jeff the Killer character is looking directly into the camera, and it feels like he's like looking at you, like as the person looking at the image, which really, like, especially for me, it puts me just on edge. Like there's something about it. It's really spooky.
Well, it also fits into the story as well. That we'll get into here in a moment. We're going to read the entire story too. As always, it does fit with the narrative really, really well, and it gives you almost like a POV kind of feeling with the character. So I think in that it does a really good job. But we'll get to all that here in a moment. Right now, as you were saying before, there is a video where the actual the image actually surfaces for the first time on the internet. We're going to play that for you right now and give you our reactions to it. So let me get that right now, and we'll see you guys in a moment.
I would like to specify that there is a little bit of a trigger warning for this. There is a mention of killings and murders and suicide and other heavy topics. Also in the video, there is, it's quite unsettling graphics and images that may upset some people, so we just want you guys to be careful if you aren't in the right headspace for that kind of thing. Once again, click off, maybe check out our first video on Herobrine. It's a lot more tame than something like this.
Okay, so it's giving like analog horror vibes already.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to be going for a while.
This is long.
Okay.
Oh.
There's definitely analog horror vibes. It's kind of weird. Seems to be some kind of quarry or something, or
I don't know.
factory of some sort, maybe? I don't know. So it's got more Chinese.
No, this is definitely Japanese.
Japanese? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can't tell the difference.
I
I'm
can.
American, so I definitely can't read into this. So if
No, I don't know what this. It's running like credits.
if anyone in the comments can tell us what this is saying, please be our guest. But
Yeah.
it's definitely, it almost looks like, yeah, it looks like credits.
It does.
It's weird.
I wonder what all the numbers are.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really confusing because like it does have like a bunch of numbers and they're all like so like differently ranged. Like there was like 3,000 and there was like 26, 4. It's really odd. I'm not sure. Huh.
It seems to be doing it in like chunks of like words. Like
There's a question
can't
mark on
explain
the
it.
other one, 76 there. That's weird.
yeah.
Oh fuck! What the hell was that?
Oh,
What the fuck?
didn't enjoy that.
Yeah, hated that. Okay, there's more credits. What the fuck? Oh, I
This
hate
is long
that.
credits.
Yeah. It's a bit weird. I don't know how I feel about this. This is weird as hell.
I don't know what I'm looking at.
I know. I'm trying to figure it out. It's just not working.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe title, maybe? I'm not sure. Okay. Oh, we got something happening. Oh, never mind. Oh,
Oh.
the hell's happening? We don't know. Oh. This is really unnerving. Okay. Oh.
That was very distressing on my ears.
Oh, what the hell? What is that? Is that like a child?
I think so.
That's a creepy
It looks like
looking...
a dummy of a young child.
Oh, I hate that. That's like liminal space.
It just looks like school.
That's fucking creepy.
I
dude.
hate that.
Yeah, it looks like that one painting. Oh, there it is. There it is.
Jesus.
If you guys missed it, there was the image. Not that one. That was disgusting. I hate that one. There it is, right there. There's the image, the first recorded image of the actual picture of Jeff the Killer. God, just looking at it still, it still gets me to this day. Like, it's still so fucking creepy. It's just, there's so much about it that I hate, but I love it at the same time. It's such an iconic picture.
It's so famous. Oh my goodness.
All right, let's power through the rest of the video. Let's see what else we have. All right, one final statement, it seems. Okay, had to get that one in. Well, that was horrible.
That noise really cut through my ears. Like, really, really cut through.
Yeah, I really disliked that. Okay, well, I don't think that had anything to do with Jeff the Killer. However, that is, again, the first recorded image of the first recorded incident of the image. So, without any further ado, I think we should get right into the story.
Excerpt from local newspaper. Ominous unknown killer is still at large. After weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous unknown killer is still on the rise. After little evidence has been found, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and bravely tells his story.
I had a bad dream, and I woke up in the middle of the night, says the boy. I saw that for some reason the window was open, even though I remembered it being closed before I went to bed. I got up and shut it again afterwards. I simply crawled under my covers and tried to get back to sleep. And that's when I had a strange feeling, like someone was watching me. I looked up and nearly jumped out of my bed. There, in the ray of light, illuminating from between my curtains, were a pair of 2 eyes. These weren't regular eyes, they were dark, ominous eyes. They were bordered in black and just plain out terrified me. That's when I saw his mouth. A long, horrendous smile that made every hair on my body stand up. The figure stood there watching me. Finally, after what seemed like forever, he said it. A simple phrase, but said it in a way only a madman can speak.
He said, "Go to sleep." I let out a scream. That's what sent him at me. He pulled up a knife, aiming at my heart. He jumped on top of my bed. I fought him back. I kicked. I punched. I rolled around, trying to knock him off me. That's when my dad busted in. The man threw the knife. It went into my dad's shoulder. The man probably would have finished him off if one of the neighbors hadn't alerted the police. They drove into the parking lot and ran towards the door. The man turned and ran down the hallway. I heard a smash, like glass breaking. As I came out of my room, I saw the window that was pointing towards the back of my house was broken. I looked out to see him vanish into the distance. I can tell you one thing. I will never forget that face. Those cold, evil eyes and that psychotic smile. They will never leave my head.
Police are still on the look for this man. If you see anyone that fits the description in this story, please contact your local police department. Wow, now that is an opener.
That's really good, especially coming from a
good one.
child's perspective, because obviously the child's mind is so different to a grown adult. So to them, obviously things can be perhaps a little more dramatized, or they view it differently, or they might even see clearer than an adult, because an adult may be in denial. But it's really good because it doesn't give you like, oh, the guy Jeff the Killer's in my house. It's, I can feel him before you even know that it's Jeff the Killer in the house. It's just, I can feel him there.
I do quite like the stories in which we do get to see the monster or the villain in action in the beginning as well, because you already have that sense of, okay, this is the threat. So we kind of already get an idea before we get his backstory of what exactly he is.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really cool, because where this is going, it's really sad, honestly. I think he's more of a sympathetic villain, which I really prefer.
Jeff and his family had just moved into a new neighborhood. His dad had got a promotion at work, and they thought it would be best to live in one of those fancy neighborhoods. Jeff and his brother Leo couldn't complain though. A new, better house. What was not to love? As they were getting unpacked, one of their neighbors came by. "Hello," she said. "I'm Barbara. I live across the street from you. Well, I just wanted to introduce myself and introduce my son." She turns around and calls her son over. "Billy, these are our new neighbors." Billy said hi and ran back to play in his yard.
Well, said Jeff's mom, I'm Margaret, and this is my husband Peter, and my 2 sons, Jeff and Lou. They each introduced themselves, and then Barbara invited them to her son's birthday party. Jeff and his brother were about to object when their mother said that they would love to. When Jeff and his family were done packing, Jeff went up to his mom. "Mom, why would you invite us to some kid's party? If you haven't noticed, I'm not some dumb kid." "Jeff," said his mother, "we've just moved here. We should show that we want to spend time with our neighbors. Now we're going to that party, and that's final." Jeff started to talk, but stopped himself, knowing that he couldn't do anything. Whenever his mom said something, it was final. He walked up to his room and plopped down onto his bed. He sat there looking at the ceiling when suddenly he got a weird feeling. Not so much pain, but a weird feeling. He dismissed it as it was just some random feeling. He heard his mother call him down to get his stuff, and he walked down to get it.
The next day, Jeff walked downstairs to get breakfast and get ready for school. As he sat there, eating his breakfast, he once again got that feeling. This time it was stronger. It gave him a slight tugging pain, but he once again dismissed it. As he and Lou finished breakfast, they walked down to the bus stop. They sat there waiting for the bus, and then, all of a sudden, some kid on a skateboard jumped over them, only inches above their laps. They both jumped back in surprise. "Hey, what the hell?" The kid landed and turned back to them. He kicked his skateboard up and caught it with his hands. The kid seems to be about 12, 1 year younger than Jeff. He wears an Aeropostale shirt and ripped blue jeans.
Well, well, well. Looks like we got some new meat. Suddenly, 2 other kids appeared. One was super skinny, and the other was huge. "Well, since you're new here, I'd like to introduce ourselves. Over there is Keith." Jeff and Lou looked over to the skinny kid. He had a dopey face that you would expect a sidekick to have. "And he's Troy." They looked over at the fat kid. Talk about a tub of lard. This kid looked like he hadn't exercised since he was crawling.
Bro! Holy fuck! That's... Talk about a tub of lard, bro. Holy fuck.
Dude, it took me everything not to get fucking laugh.
Bro, I had to mute my mic whilst I was recording, and then you went, "Over there is Keith." I outwardly laughed. I literally just went, like, what the fuck do you mean that's fucking Keith? What do you mean?
Dude,
Talk about a
they're
tub of
just fucking-
lard.
I know, they're just fucking bullying Troy, dude. I feel bad for Troy already. Like,
Troy's
I
just trying to
completely
live his
forgot
life.
about that. Yeah, it's like, God, what a fucking tub of lard. Look at the bowler over here we got. It's like, Jesus Christ. And I, said the first kid, am Randy. Now, for all the kids in this neighborhood, there's a small price for bus fare, if you catch my drift. Lou stood up, ready to punch the lights out of the kid's eyes, when one of his friends pulled a knife on him. Tisk, tisk, tisk. I had hoped you would be more cooperative, but it seems we must do this the hard way. The kid walked up to Lou and took his wallet out of his pocket. Jeff got that feeling again. Now, it was truly strong, a burning sensation. He stood up, but Lou gestured at him to sit down. Jeff ignored him and walked up to the kid. Listen here, you little punk. Give back my bro's wallet, or else. Randy put the wallet in his pocket and pulled out his own knife.
Okay, so we've got like quite a bit of tension building.
Like, can I just say, they're kids and they're are like having a knife fight. Like,
Yeah, this is insane.
what the fuck? Like, this genuinely, like, I love it because obviously we know that they were a child whenever they wrote this.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that, like, it's supposed to be a nice neighborhood and there's, like, a knife fight happening by the bus stop is actually nuts to me. Like,
Yeah, this
like,
story is insane.
what is this fucking... Is this Britain? Is this what happens in Britain?
Sometimes. I don't really know. I never lived in a rough area. I was very fortunate.
I was like, I don't know how to... This is... Oh, my God.
The wording
It's like-
of this is very
I know,
interesting.
it's getting to me. It's getting to me.
It
But
does
I really do...
giggle.
It's got a charm to it, which I really
100%.
like. But we'll make it through this.
Oh? And what will you do? Just as he finished the sentence, Jeff popped the kid in the nose. As Randy reached for his face, Jeff grabbed the kid's wrist and broke it. Randy screamed, and Jeff grabbed the knife from his hand. Troy and Keith rushed Jeff, but Jeff was too quick. He threw Randy to the ground. Keith lashed out at him, but Jeff ducked and stabbed him in the arm. Keith dropped his knife and fell to the ground, screaming. Troy rushed him too, but Jeff didn't even need the knife. He just punched Troy straight in the stomach, and Troy went down. As he fell, he puked all over. Lou could do nothing but look in amazement at Jeff. Bro.
I'm sorry.
This is so
most
hard to read.
This is the most anime fight I've ever It's like whenever
I
you're,
literally
like,
imagined it like
fucking-
an anime as well.
Oh my God! Whenever you're like pretending like to fight with your friends when you were like school,
Playing
and you're like,
imaginary.
no, but I dodged that. I dodged that. I dodged that. You know what I mean? Like, that's-
10 that I didn't need the knife.
Yeah. Not to pretend I don't. Yeah.
10
it's
that-
like fucking.
10 that I was really cool and I dodged it. Like 10 that. It's always 10 that.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Okay, I'll continue.
We're professionals.
Yeah, what do you mean? Jeff, how did you... was all he said. They saw the bus coming, and they knew they'd be blamed for the whole thing. So they started running as fast as they could. As they ran, they looked back and saw the bus driver rushing over to Randy and the others. As Jeff and Lou made it to school, they didn't dare tell what happened. All they did was sit and listen. Lou just thought of that as his big brother beating up a few kids. But Jeff knew it was more. It was something scary. As he got that feeling, he felt how powerful it was. The urge to just hurt someone.
He didn't like how it sounded, but he couldn't help feeling happy. He felt that strange feeling go away and stay away for the entire day of school. Even as he walked home due to the whole thing near the bus stop and how he probably wouldn't be taking the bus anymore, he felt happy. When he got home, his parents asked him how his day was. And he said, in a somewhat ominous voice, "It was a wonderful day." The next morning, he heard a knock at his front door. He walked down to find 2 police officers at his door, and his mother looking back at him with an angry look. "Jeff, these officers tell me that you attacked 3 kids. That it wasn't regular fighting. That they were stabbed. Stabbed, son." Jeff's gaze fell to the floor, showing his mother that it was true. "Mom, they were the ones who pulled the knives on me and Lou."
"Son," said one of the cops, "we found 3 kids, 2 stabbed, 1 having a bruise on his stomach, and we have witnesses proving that you fled the scene. Now, what does that tell us?" Jeff knew it was no use. He could only say him and Lou had been attacked, but then there was no proof it was not them who attacked first. They couldn't say that they weren't fleeing, because, truth be told, they were. So Jeff couldn't defend himself, or Lou. "Son, call down your brother." Jeff couldn't do it since it was he who beat up all the kids. "Sir, it was me. I was the one who beat up the kids. Lou tried to hold me back, but he couldn't stop me." The cop looked at his partner, and they both nod. "Well, kid, looks like a year in juvie." "Wait," says Lou. They all looked up to see him holding a knife. The officers pulled their guns and locked them on Lou. "It was me. I beat up those little punks. Have the marks to prove it." He lifted up his sleeves to reveal cuts and bruises, as if he was in a struggle.
"Son, just put the knife down," said the officer. Lou held up the knife and dropped it to the ground. He put his hands up and walked over to the cops. "No, Lou, it was me. I did it." Jeff had tears running down his face. Poor bro. Trying to take the blame for what I did. No, take me away. The police led Lou out to the patrol car. "Lou, tell them it was me. Tell them! I was the one who beat up those kids." Jeff's mother put her hands on his shoulders. "Jeff, please. You don't have to lie. We know it's Lou. You can stop." Jeff watched helplessly as the cop car sped off with Lou inside. A few minutes later, Jeff's dad pulled into the driveway, seeing Jeff's face and knowing something was wrong. Son, what is it?" Jeff couldn't answer. His vocal cords were strained from crying. Instead, Jeff's mother walked his father inside to break the bad news to him, as Jeff wept in the driveway. After an hour or so, Jeff walked back into the house, seeing that his parents were both shocked, sad, and disappointed. He couldn't look at them. He couldn't see how they thought of Lou when it was all his fault. He just went to sleep, trying to get the whole thing off his mind. 2 days went by with no word from Lou at the JDC. No friends to hang out with. Nothing but sadness and guilt. That is, till Saturday, when Jeff was woken up by his mother with a happy, sunshiny face.
So that got intense very quick.
Yeah. Very.
Wow.
Like that. I mean, that's probably about as emotional as this story has gotten up until this point.
Yeah.
I mean, that is genuinely like the sacrifice that brother makes is really heartwarming. But like the pain that Jeff feels in this moment, right?
Yeah.
Is like you can't even imagine. Like watching somebody take a blame for something awful that you've done, and they're getting ripped away from you because of it. Like that is just awful, dude. I mean,
put myself in that position. You know, I have a younger sister myself, and I was just thinking, like, I would do anything to defend my sister, and if she ever tried to take the blame for something that I did and she got severely punished for it, oh my god, that would break me.
It would be too hard to bear. I mean, I
that
honestly,
would break me.
That's why I say that in this story, I think that Jeff, as much as he's gone through in everything, I understand, I'm not condoning what he does later in the story, but I definitely get why he went insane. I don't know about the killing part, going on a massacre. That's a little much, but still, I mean, that's enough to drive anyone to insanity. Look, I mean, this kind of stuff happens in real life too, like the bullying and, people unfortunately resort to taking their own life and, anything else to help with the pain. And he is in a very, very bad spot, but it seems like this is it's changing. His mother is just now came in with a sunshiny face, as they describe it. So let's see what happens.
Jeff, it's the day, she said as she opened up the curtains and let light flood into his room. What? What's today? Asked Jeff as he stirs awake. Why, it's Billy's party. He was now fully awake. Mom, you're joking, right? You don't expect me to go to some kid's party after... There was a long pause. Jeff, we both know what happened. I think this party could be the thing that brightens up the past days. Now, get dressed. Jeff's mother walked out of the room and downstairs to get ready herself. He fought himself to get up. He picked out a random shirt and a pair of jeans and walked downstairs. He saw his mother and father all dressed up. His mother was in a dress and his father in a suit. He thought, why would they ever wear such fancy clothes to a kid's party?
Son, is that all you're going to wear? Said Jeff's mom.
Better than wearing too much, he said. His mother pushed down the feeling to yell at him and hid it with a smile. Now, Jeff, you may be overdressed, but this is how you go if you want to make an impression, said his father. Jeff grunted and went back up to his room. I don't have any fancy clothes, he yelled downstairs. Just pick something out, called his mother. He looked around in his closet for what he would call fancy. He found a pair of black dress pants he had for special occasions and an undershirt. He couldn't find a shirt to go with it, though. He looked around and only found striped and patterned shirts, none of which to go with dress pants. Finally, he found a white hoodie. Put it on.
You're wearing that? They both said. His mother looked at her watch. Oh, no time to change. Let's just go, she said, as she herded Jeff and his father out the door. They crossed the street over to Barbara and Billy's house. They knocked on the door, and at it appeared that Barbara, just like his parents, way overdressed. As they walked inside, all Jeff could see were adults. No kids. The kids are out in the yard. Jeff, how about you go meet some of them? Said Barbara. Jeff walked outside to a yard full of kids. They were running around in weird cowboy costumes and shooting each other with plastic guns. He might as well be standing in a Toys R Us. Suddenly, a kid came up to him and handed him a toy gun and a hat.
Okay, can I just say, I miss Toys R Us, so that's... Oh my god, that hurts to have it, in here, honestly.
Yeah.
Also, that's the cutest shit ever, by the way. These fucking kids running around playing cowboys. Oh my god. I remember whenever me and my siblings used to do that whenever we were younger. We would just, run around. We actually played spies because we were cool, but,
I think what did me and my sister do? We kind of just, I don't know. We didn't play imaginary anything. We just kind of were in fields and stuff and built stuff with grass and mud and flowers and potions and stuff.
Down in the comments, if anyone else has played anything pretend-wise, let us know what kind of game you played as a
Yes.
kid. That definitely would be fun to read.
That would be so interesting, because I feel like everyone has their own, like, game. Like, there's always, like, one game that everybody went to. Like, for example, for me and my sister, our number one game that we would play, it was it was called 1, 2, 3. And it was just a game where I would double bounce my sister on a trampoline until she nearly fell off. So, like, everyone had, like, the game to go to. 1, 2, 3 was mine. What was yours?
Definitely, like I said, I think spies would probably be my favorite. We used to have those little toy spy gear, like the laser pointers and the watches, and like we even had like a little drone that we could drive around with a camera attached to it. So I think it was pretty fun.
You had the full setup then.
Oh yeah. We definitely had a wild childhood. We got lost on that stuff, so I definitely relate to these kids with like the plastic guns and stuff.
Hey, wanna play?
He said, "No, kid. I'm way too old for this stuff." The kid looked at him with that weird puppy dog face.
Please?
Said the kid. "Fine," said Jeff. He put on the hat and started to pretend to shoot at the kids. At first, he thought it was totally ridiculous, but then he started to actually have fun. It might not have been super cool, but it was the first time he had done something that took his mind off of Lou. So, he played with the kids for a while. Until he heard a noise, a weird, rolling noise. Then it hit him. Randy, Troy, and Keith all jumped over the fence on their skateboards. Jeff dropped the fake gun and ripped off the hat. Randy looked at Jeff with a burning hatred.
Hello? Jeff, is it?
He said.
We have some unfinished business.
I think we're even. I beat the crap out of you, and you got my brother sent to JDC.
Randy got an angry look in his eyes. Oh no. I don't go for even. I go for winning. You may have kicked our asses that one day, but not today. As he said that, Randy rushed at Jeff. They both fell to the ground. Randy punched Jeff in the nose, and Jeff grabbed him by the ears and headbutted him. Jeff pushed Randy off him, and both rose to their feet. Kids were screaming, and parents were running out of the house. Troy and Keith both pulled guns out of their pockets. No one interrupts, or guts will fly, they said. Randy pulled a knife on Jeff and stabbed it into his shoulder. Jeff screamed and fell to his knees. Randy started kicking him in the face. After 3 kicks, Jeff grabs his foot and twists it, causing Randy to fall to the ground. Jeff stood up and walked towards the back door. Troy grabbed him. Need some help? He picks Jeff up by the back of the collar and throws him into the patio door. As Jeff tries to stand, he is kicked down to the ground. Randy repeatedly starts kicking Jeff until he starts to cough up blood.
Come on, Jeff, fight me! He picks Jeff up and throws him into the kitchen. Randy sees a bottle of vodka on the counter and smashes the glass over Jeff's head. Fight! He throws Jeff back in the living room. Come on, Jeff, look at me! Jeff glances up. His face is riddled with blood. I was the one who got your brother sent to JDC, and now you're just gonna sit there and let him rot in there for a whole year? You should be ashamed. Jeff starts to get up. Oh, finally! You stand and fight! Jeff is now to his feet, blood and vodka on his face. Once again, he gets that strange feeling, the one in which he hasn't felt for a while. Finally, he's up, says Randy, as he runs at Jeff. That's when it happens. Something inside Jeff snaps. His psyche is destroyed. All rational thinking is gone. All he can do is kill. He grabs Randy and pile drives him into the ground. He gets on top of him and punches him straight in the heart. The punch causes Randy's heart to stop. As Randy gasps for breath, Jeff hammers down on him. Punch after punch, blood gushes from Randy's body until he takes one final breath and dies. Jesus fucking Christ!
Oh, wow. Basically, that escalated so fast. It went, we're going to a birthday party. And he was like, I don't want her. And they're like, you're going. He was like, okay. They show up. Now a kid is dead. Huh?
That's... Holy fuck, dude. What in the shit?
There's not a lot of pacing in this.
No. Holy hell. Oh my dear lord, bro. What the fuck?
Literally, I don't even know what to say in response to this.
I mean, there's not much to say. I mean,
No.
He just fucking punched him in the chest and his heart stopped. We have like Saitama here now. Like he just showed up and just fucking punched him in the chest. Can we talk about how hard he had to punch him too, by the way?
Yeah. Like, first off, you've got to get that punch, have enough energy behind it to get through your ribs. Because obviously your heart is protected in your ribs and by layers and layers of muscle and skin, and and he punched hard enough to make his heart like stop.
It's like he punched a fucking hole through him or some shit.
Yeah. You've
like,
got to
Jesus
punch pretty
Christ.
hard. Like when you do CPR, and that's just CPR, you do have to effectively crack the ribs to get to the heart to be able to start pushing on it. And that's just to resuscitate somebody, let alone kill them.
Ended his life.
And he's 13. What?
So for those of you who didn't know, some lore on Jeff the Killer is he was actually Mike Tyson in his older days.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
That's
Okay.
insane.
That's probably the funniest fucking line I've heard from a story in a while.
Everyone is looking at Jeff now. The parents, the crying kids, even Troy and Keith. Although they easily break from their gaze and point their guns at Jeff. Jeff sees the guns trained on him and runs for the stairs. As he runs, Troy and Keith let out fire on him, each shot missing. Jeff runs up the stairs. He hears Troy and Keith follow up behind. As they let out their final rounds of bullets, Jeff ducks into the bathroom. He grabs the towel rack and rips it off the wall. Troy and Keith race in, knives ready. Troy swings his knife at Jeff, who backs away and bangs the towel rack into Troy's face. Troy goes down hard, and now all that's left is Keith. He is more agile than Troy, though, and ducks when Jeff swings the towel rack. He dropped the knife and grabbed Jeff by the neck. He pushed him into a wall. A thing of bleach fell down on top of him from the top shelf. It burnt both of them, and they both started to scream. Jeff wiped his eyes as best as he could. He pulled back the towel rack and swung it straight into Keith's head. As he lay there, bleeding to death, he let out an ominous smile. "What's so funny?" asked Jeff. Keith pulled out a lighter and switched it on. "What's funny," he said, "is that you're covered in bleach and alcohol." Jeff's eyes widened as Keith threw the lighter at him. As soon as the flame made contact with him, the flames ignited the alcohol in the vodka. While the alcohol burned on him, the bleach bleached his skin. Jeff let out a terrible screech as he caught on fire. He tried to roll out the fire, but it was no use. The alcohol had made him a walking inferno. He ran down the hall and fell down the stairs. Everybody started screaming as they saw Jeff, now a man on fire, dropped to the ground, nearly dead. The last thing Jeff saw was his mother and the other parents trying to extinguish the flame. That's when he passed out.
God, dude, that is
Bro.
so brutal. It's so brutal.
We normally do a little bit more reading in between, but that was a heavy set.
I needed to get that out because I was like the entire time you were reading that I was just like imagining it so vividly. Like it is definitely far from the best written story in the entire world, but it still captures that moment so fucking well.
Yeah, it's still
like
vivid
obviously
enough.
yes, obviously you're like, why does this kid have a gun? You know, like that's the fucking one thing on your mind. But the other thing is like, I mean, this kid is genuinely on fire. If you take a step back and you look at what's happening, there is a kid walking out on fire, completely on fire.
And there's a dead kid in the bathroom. There's 2 dead kids in the bathroom. There's a dead kid in the backyard. And now there's a kid on fire. Like, that's... I can't...
It's insane.
Yeah, I can't think of any other word other than insane, because... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's also one of the worst ways to die in human history is burning to death. I mean, you know, that's like a common thing. You would ask someone, would you rather drown or be burnt to death? And then
both
it's such a difficult it's such a difficult decision because both are awful. And when you're a kid as well, like that, it's just incomprehensible.
I remember I was during history when I was studying when they would burn witches at the stake. When you are on fire, you can actually feel your blood come to a boil within your body before you're dead. And you can feel the skin melting off of you. Like, all of these things, you can feel it. Like, you don't go unconscious. You know, like, if you fall from a very high height and die, you will likely pass out before you die because it's just too much. But with being on fire, you experience all of it. You can feel your blood boiling, your skin literally melting and like peeling off of you, like your eyes beginning to melt too. Like, you can feel everything, which is terrifying.
When Jeff woke up, he had a cast wrapped around his face. He couldn't see anything, but he felt a cast on his shoulder and stitches all over his body. He tried to stand up, but he realized that there was some tube in his arm. And when he tried to get up, it fell out, and a nurse rushed in. "I don't think you can get out of bed just yet," she said as she put him back in his bed and reinserted the tube. Jeff sat there, with no vision, no idea of what his surroundings were. Finally, after hours, he heard his mother. "Honey, are you okay?" she asked. Jeff couldn't answer, though. His face was covered, and he was unable to speak. "Oh, honey, I have great news. After all the witnesses told the police that Randy confessed of trying to attack you, they decided to let Lou go." This almost made Jeff bolt up, stopping halfway, remembering the tube coming out of his arm. "He'll be out by tomorrow, and then you two will be able to be together again." Jeff's mother hugs Jeff and says her goodbyes. The next couple of weeks were those where Jeff was visited by his family. Then came the day where his bandages were to be removed. His family members were all there to see it, what he would look like. As the doctors unwrapped the bandages from Jeff's face, everyone was on the edge of their seats. They waited until the last bandage holding the cover over his face was almost removed. "Let's hope for the best," said the doctor. He quickly pulls the cloth, letting the rest fall from Jeff's face. Jeff's mother screams at the sight of his face. Lou and Jeff's dad stare awestruck at his face. "What? Oh, what happened to my face?" Jeff said. He rushed out of bed and ran to the bathroom. He looked in a mirror and saw the cause of the distress. His face. It's horrible. His lips were burned to a deep shade of red. His face was turned into a pure white color. His hair was singed from brown to black. He slowly put a hand to his face. It had a sort of leathery feel to it now. He looked back at his family, then back at the mirror. "Jeff," said Lou, "it's not that bad." "Not that bad?" said Jeff. "It's perfect." His family was equally surprised. Jeff started laughing uncontrollably,
His parents noticed that his left eye and hand were twitching. Jeff? Are you okay?
Okay? I've never felt more happy. Look at me. This face goes perfectly with me.
He couldn't stop laughing. He stroked his face, feeling it, looking in the mirror. What caused this? Well, you may recall that when Jeff was fighting Randy, something in his mind, his sanity snapped. Now he was left as a crazy killing machine. That is, his parents didn't know. That is, whew.
Yeah, that's very,
God.
very intense.
Like, it's creepy, obviously. But it's also kind of sad, right?
It is incredibly sad.
Because you have to remember, after everything, before the monster, before the killer, he's a kid.
Yeah, this is
Like,
just a
he is a
13-year-old
child.
boy.
Like, he's a boy. This is someone's son.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is awful. Like, it. Unfortunately, we do have cases in real life as well of child killers and children going insane and doing awful things, but it's just so much more powerful when it's a kid, you know, because they're meant to represent innocence, and I think that's one of the main reasons why it hits so hard.
Yeah, 100%. It's something that makes you take a step back, because when an adult does it, you're kind of used to it, because that's something that, you know, all crimes that you look at 99% of the time, they are adults, because that's just the way that it is. But when it's a kid, and, you know, when you see a kid in public, it's usually a kid running around laughing, maybe crying because they've scuffed their knee, something small and something that should not be able to even comprehend such evil in the world. And yet here we have a young child not only comprehending the evil in the world, but is also enjoying it, like thoroughly enjoying it, which is incredibly unsettling. Doctor, said Jeff's mum, is my son alright? You know, in the head? Oh, yes. This behavior is typical for patients that have taken very large amounts of painkillers. If his behavior doesn't change in a few weeks, bring him back here, and we'll give him a psychological test. Oh, thank you, doctor. Jeff's mother went over to Jeff. Jeff, sweetie, it's time to go. Jeff looks away from the mirror, his face still formed into a crazy smile. Okay, mommy. His mother took him by the shoulder and took him to get his clothes. This is what came in, said the lady at the desk. Jeff's mum looked down to see the black dress pants and white hoodie her son wore. Now they were clean of blood and stitched together. Jeff's mother led him to his room and made him put his clothes on. Then they left, not knowing that this was their final day of life. Later that night, Jeff's mother woke to a sound coming from the bathroom. It sounded as if someone was crying. She slowly walked over to see what it was. When she looked into the bathroom, she saw a horrendous sight. Jeff had taken a knife and carved a smile into his cheeks. Jeff, what are you doing? Asked his mother. Jeff looked over to his mother. I couldn't keep smiling, Mommy. It hurt after a while. Now I can smile forever. Jeff's mother noticed his eyes, ringed in black. Jeff, your eyes! His eyes were seemingly never closing. Oh, no thank you.
Yeah,
imagine
no,
being the
it's
mother.
Time to burn the house down.
Yeah,
after that one.
as the mother walking in to see your own 13-year-old boy carving his face
Oh, fuck.
in the bathroom. and then seeing his eyes have gone, black.
Yeah,
And say if you're a parent, like, if you're a parent, you're not going to be believing in, like, the paranormal and stuff like that, so you're going to be thinking, like, oh my goodness, my son's eyes are, like, dying, like, it's necrosis or something, because there's something wrong. Like, if you see this and think there's nothing wrong, then I think that you've got something wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
I couldn't see my face. I got tired, and my eyes started to close. I burnt out the eyelids so I could forever see myself. My new face.
Jeff's mother slowly started to back away, seeing that her son was going insane.
What's wrong, Mommy? Aren't I beautiful?
Yes, son, she said. Yes, you are. Let me go get Daddy so you can see your face. She ran into the room and shook Jeff's dad from his sleep.
Honey, get the gun.
She stopped as she saw Jeff in the doorway, holding a knife.
Mommy? You lied.
That's the last thing they hear, as Jeff rushes at them with the knife, gutting both of them. His brother Lou woke up, startled by some noise. He didn't hear anything else, so he just shut his eyes and tried to go back to sleep. As he was on the border of slumber, he got the strangest feeling that someone was watching him. He looked up before Jeff's hand covered his mouth. He slowly raised the knife, ready to plunge it into Lou. Lou thrashed here and there, trying to escape Jeff's grip.
Shh,
Jeff said.
Just go to sleep.
Okay, that to me is not all right. I think it's kind of insane that Jeff actually killed his family, especially his brother, considering the brother was the reason that he went crazy.
Oh yeah, well, it just goes to show, especially like towards the end, like you said, his brother was the whole reason that he went mad. For him to kill his brother, you can just imagine how crazed and deranged he is now to be able to do that. Before he was defending him and kicking kids' asses for his brother, and now he's stabbing him to death.
Yeah.
It's an amazing development of character, and it really shows how much Jeff has developed over the entire course of the story.
Yeah, definitely.
So... yeah, but no, that is the story of Jeff the Killer. That is the entire creepypasta. In terms of pacing, not the best, but
not great.
Because it was like we've been recording for what, an hour, and
yeah.
So I think it's a good story. Don't get me wrong. I think that all of the fame that it got was warranted, right? Maybe a little overhyped. However, I think a lot of that came from the image, and it's a lot easier to put an image to an idea than it is a story, right?
Yeah.
So definitely the image helped a lot. Do I think it's a good story? Absolutely. Do I think it's it's worth a read? Absolutely. Do I think it's scary now? Not scary, but it's still pretty emotional, I think.
Yeah,
because if you give it a chance and you're not like, wow, this is cringe, like you have to you have to look back, you have to look past all the if you're a writer, you have to not be picky, essentially, I guess is what I would say, because you have to remember when this came out and that it was written by a kid. So in terms of all of that, it is a very, very, very well written story.
Yeah, I definitely want to jump back to the idea of when this was written, and when like this kind of came out, and the vibe of the internet at the time. This was definitely when, you know, there would be those chain mails that you would get of like creepy audios, and it's being like, send this to someone so that you don't die, and all those kinds of weird things. So this was definitely on theme with the time that it was posted. So obviously during that year and all those years, this was a fantastic horror story. And as we move forward as with social media and as human beings, you know, scary things take different forms, and definitely now it's less scary, especially with the not brilliant pacing, because you're like, okay, it's just not realistic. But you know, it's still a really good read if you just want something that's quick, sharp, spooky, something that really makes you go, oh my god, that's pretty messed up.
Yeah, it's definitely a good starter point for anyone and everyone that is interested in the creepypasta community. And like we always say, creepy is subjective. It's a matter of opinion. You know, what something is scary to someone else may not be scary at all to somebody.
Yep.
You know, it's definitely a personal take. So if you remember reading this as a kid and it's scaring the hell out of you, let us know down in the comments. And if it didn't scare you at all, or if it scares you now, let us know your opinion on this story. But now it is time for us to give our opinions. So Lynx, what would you rate this on the horror scale?
Oh, this one's tough. I'm probably gonna put it at about like a 4, just because it lacks that realism to it. I remember when I rated the Russian sleep experiment, it was very realistic, and that's why I gave it like such a high score as well. So it's gonna be a 4 from me.
Okay, so we got a 4 out of 10 for Lynx. See, me personally, I love these kind of stories. I love the paranormal. I love the extending your disbelief a little bit. I love those kind of stories, and I think that's what makes fiction great, because, you know, if you're going to put some time into a story and put it into the fiction genre, it should have fiction, and it should be scary. It should be crazy, right? There should be a lot more stuff that is not super realistic. Like if you're going for realism, that's a different thing. But I think this is definitely in that realm of needing to be extended from the disbelief a little bit, because I mean, let's be honest, what fucking 13-year-old kid is gonna have a gun and know how to use it?
Exactly.
In that time,
in a
at
good
least,
safe town that they moved to.
That's so for that reason alone, and because this story is a near and dear to my heart, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10, because it is genuinely one of my favorite stories of all time, and it is one of the main creepypasta stories on the site, next to Slenderman and all the proxies. You know, I definitely think this earned a spot. So that is a total of 10 out of 20. So it's a pretty good score. I think it's a good story. I think it's a fun first read if you're interested in this kind of stuff. And it's pretty tame compared to some other stuff, but it's still got a little bit of excitement if you're interested in that. But yeah, it's that's pretty much the entirety of the creepypasta and all the history.
Yeah, if you like it when you don't want to wait around for something exciting to happen in the story, if you're not a fan of quick, like slow burn stuff, then this is definitely the story for you. Because it really jumps right into it no matter what. It kind of just assumes that you're going to make the background story in your head, and the big points are what it's here for.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think that might be everything. So if you guys did enjoy the video, please like and subscribe. That would be really awesome, because that would support us immensely. We would love to hear your thoughts on literally anything to do with creepypastas, especially if it's any Jeff the Killer. Don't forget to mention if, you know, what games you played as a kid with your siblings or on your own, or anything that you used to do. That would be super interesting for us, because we always read the comments. So please let us
Absolutely.
know. And yeah.
I do want to mention also, we do have a Discord now. So if I didn't mention that before, we do have a Discord. It will be in the description. That's where you can request us any creepypastas or any general scary stories that you want us to cover on the podcast, because we will be branching out eventually to other, like I said, real life stories, or, you know, anything creepy is on the table for us.
Yes.
So don't be afraid. Join the Discord in the description, and also follow both of our YouTube channels. It would help us a lot if you like what we do. Check out the other kind of content that we make, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So we'll see you guys in the next one.